I'm going to talk to you. My name's first Stuart Memo. I'm a developer from Glasgow in Scotland. And I'm going to talk to you about an event that was just mentioned there that changed the world. It changed all our lives. It changed your life and yours and mine. And that was this gig at the Leicester Free Trade Hall in Manchester. It was a Friday, 4th of June, 1976. This was the night the Sex Pistols played. Now, this was one of their first gigs outside London. They hadn't had a record out or anything, and there were only about 40 people in the room. But those 40 people were inspired. They were inspired by the rawness and the passion and enthusiasm that the Sex Pistols showed that night. Now, Bernard Sumner from Joy Division New Order was there. He said this. He said they were terrible. I thought they were great. I wanted to get up and be terrible too. Now, he wasn't the only person that was there that started a band. Out of all those people who were there, we got the following bands. We got Joy Division, New Order, Buzzcocks, Magazine. Morrissey was there, started the Smiths after seeing the Sex Pistols, as well as Marquis Smith from The Fall. Now, Mick Hucknall was also there from Simply Red, but we don't talk about that. Those bands who were they were inspired by the Sex Pistols, but those bands also went on to inspire other bands such as R.E.M., Nirvana, Radiohead, Pixies, Beastie Boys, and PJ Harvey. All great bands. And Coldplay, but we don't talk about that. Okay. So I'm going to talk about something that I'm inspired by, and that is, JavaScript. I love it. But I've also recently become obsessed by something called the Web Audio API. Now, I don't know if you know about the Web Audio API. It's basically a kind of high-performance way of manipulating audio in the browser via JavaScript. We can take audio and process it and do anything we want with it. Now, it's only available in Chrome, Safari, and mobile Safari at the moment, but Firefox is looking to implement it as soon as they can. Now, the way the Web Audio API works, it's this kind of concept of a node graph where, imagine you had a guitar player with a guitar like this one. They would strum a chord. That signal would travel down their wire into maybe an effects pedal, like a distortion pedal. That would manipulate the sound, then go onto another wire, and then maybe to the speakers. So in this situation, the source node is the guitar. The distortion node is manipulating that audio and then passing it on to our amplifier. Now, the other thing you can do is that we can create audio completely in the browser from scratch. We don't need to use an MP3 or a WAV file or anything. We can just make sound from thin air. It's amazing. So I'm going to show you that just now. We'll just get the console up. Now, the first thing we do is we create what's known as a context. And this is like, I don't know if you have used the canvas tag, which kind of creates an area that you can draw on in JavaScript. So context is a kind of similar thing for audio. It kind of lets you, it's kind of world of sound. You can kind of paint with sound. That's terribly hippie-ish analogy, but that's what you can do. So we create a context, and then from a context, we need a sound source. So in this case, I'll make a sine wave, but I'll talk a little bit later what a sine wave is. So we do context.create oscillator. Okay, and then we have to get a lead from our sine wave, .connect to our speakers, and that's context.destination. Okay, so everything's plugged in, ready to go. The only thing we need to do now is start the sine wave off. So, dot note on, and we're going to do that after 0 seconds. So do we have audio out? Okay, great. So we should hear some beautiful sounds. Wow. So we can just do node off. So that's us creating sound completely in the browser. There was nothing else involved in that, which I think is amazing. Now, so you might think, Stuart, that's just noise. That isn't music. That's just a sound. Who do you think you are, Brian Eno? But no, a similar thing was used in one of the best records of all time, Good Vibrations, by the Beach Boys. They used a thing, this was an electro-theremin, which is slightly different than a normal theremin with you wave your hands. This one created a sine wave, like we just heard, but in a big wooden box. Now, due to the wonders of technology, I've been able to shrink that big wooden box down into a web browser. And we can see one here. So if I've got to do again, it's very space age. So, so if you'll indulge me, I'd like to do you a little performance with the theremin, with help of my backing. Okay.
Space, the final frontier. These are the voyages of the Starship Enterprise. Its 5-year mission to explore strange new worlds, to seek out new life and new civilizations, to boldly go where no man has gone before.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so we've heard the sine wave, and that's this nice round sound. It's just, nice and even. And the thing is, so sounds, just to explain waves, or what sound is. Sound is, again, a hippie phrase, the vibration of air. It's this idea that the air is oscillating at a really high speed and then hitting your ear at like 40,000 times a second. It's really quite something. But the way we can graphically represent sound using waves. And so different sounds look different. So we see the sine wave at the top here. And so then we've got a square wave and a triangle wave. So just kind of play one of these. So that's a square wave. You can hear it sounds a little bit different than before. And maybe a triangle wave is a bit softer. So the way this kind of way of taking waves and then manipulating and changing the shape is basically how to make a synthesizer, and that's how we would do. And that's what I've done here to do the magic of the Web Audio API and JavaScript. We've got a little keyboard, and so this one just basically combines two different types of waves. Let's see, let's have a sawtooth and a triangle. And you can hear, so the sustain, we can put the sustain up, and that allows us, the sustain is if you play a note, that's how long that note takes to kind of decay and disappear. So a kind of note like that hangs around for a while, whereas one really short is just. So again, this is really easy to do. This isn't any fancy. This is just a different frequency, a different pitch assigned to each type of wave, and then they're combined. So turn the volume down a that. So I don't know, not a very good keyboard player, but. So if you want to make your own synthesizer, it's really easy. I've made this thing called QWERTY Hancock, which allows you to, it's done in Raphael, and it basically allows you to take a vector keyboard and stick it as a front to your own synth, and it can take keyboard keys and stuff as well as the mouse. So yeah, all right. So the audio's gone on that. Anyway, so what really excites me about this as if I'm not excited by all that other stuff, is the fact that we can now write songs in JavaScript. You know, traditionally the way people wrote songs was, you know, they would, you know, sit at a guitar or piano and they would write this lovely song and they would take it into the recording studio and get it recorded. And, you know, even more recently, people have been, you know, writing songs at a computer, but it's still this idea of, you know, you have a timeline that goes from the start all the way to the finish, and there's all these multiple tracks, and it's just, you know, what we can do is we can write songs. There's this quote by the maths whiz Leibniz, and he says, "Music is the pleasure the human mind experiences from counting without being aware that it's counting." And it's true, music is maths. And there's nothing better at counting than a computer. So does anyone have an idea what this does? Let's hear it. So it's just a basic drum beat. You can see that it's a for loop, and every second beat it plays a kick drum, every second beat after that plays a snare, and every beat it plays a hi-hat. Now, I mean, those play functions are abstracting things a bit, but I was using real audio at that time. That wasn't synthesized, so they were samples of real drum kits that you have to load these in. But if you're going to use them in the web audio API, it's different than just using an audio tag. You have to kind of pull them in via XHR and then kind of decode them to the context, or you have to load them into an array buffer. So again, I've created a silly little library to do this called AbiLoad, that you can just give it a whole bunch of audio paths, and it'll give you a callback telling you whether they're all done and decoded and ready to play. So with that, we can do something a little more complex. So we can mix those live samples with the synth I made earlier. So, and this is really easy to do. This isn't me being some sort of audio whiz kid, because I'm not. This is just this web audio API that's just enabled this. So that's fantastic. Okay, enough of that. Okay, you've written your JavaScript hit. It's going to sell millions. What do you do with it now? Well, I guess you just put it on your website. Or you could upload it to GitHub and let, people remix it for free. You can create remixes without this idea of throwing around massive audio files, because the file is already there. This is what, to go back to our punk analogy, the Buzzcocks did. When they first started out, they didn't have a record label. They just thought, let's borrow money from friends and family. They borrowed £500 and just went into a recording studio, made a record themselves, and put it out themselves. They made 1,000 copies, and it sold out almost instantly. So this idea of self-publishing, it's more prominent than ever, and it's so easy to do. We don't even have to record things now, that we just have a file format that just makes sound. It doesn't need to be recorded. So this idea that I'm proposing, I only really have a name that I like for it at the moment. It's imagine some sort of format like JSON, called JSONs. I don't have anything more than that. So if you do want to kind of help me with this to make a kind of JavaScript spec for songs on the web, give me a shout, because all I've got is a title. Okay, something even more exciting happened 2 weeks ago. And that is that Get User Media for audio was enabled in the nightly build of Chrome, which means that we can now take audio, exactly what it says, we can get user media from the user. So this allows us to take audio from a mic or a line in and manipulate it in the exact same chaining method I described before. So I'd like to give you a little demonstration. here, if this works, so like I say, this is only, can I go full screen on this? Okay. So this is the conference crusher. A little aside, the more audacious the name of any audio product, the weedier it sounds. Okay, so don't expect anything. So the first thing, when you use the get user media, you get this little option that says, "Dodo wants to use your microphone." And we'll say, oops, yes, please. Okay, so we get that? Is there something there? Yeah, it's quite quiet. So this is a guitar. There's no plugins here. There's no GarageBand. There's no anything. This is just a browser. This is just a normal web page that we're now getting sound through. You know, so that's quite a clean sound, right? So that's just the way the guitar sounds through this little bit of a treble on it. But what we can do is we actually take that, connect it, and actually change the waveforms that are going in. Okay? So we can do... So there's nothing more annoying than watching someone messing around the guitar. So I'll spare you that. So that was us just the same way before, just the sound going down the lead and then just the waveform. It's just a big array buffer that we can just flip about any way we want. We have so much control over this. So you might notice that there's a little Back to the Future button here. Just want to show you how much control we have. Do we have audio again? Okay. So, no, oh no, that would have been good. So, I'll just do this. Oh, that's a bit long. No? Let me try it again. Okay, try it again. Yes! So that's just showing you how much control we can have. And that's all done with JavaScript. I do, we can just take some audio in and just hold on to it for a bit. And then do whatever we want. Okay. So, I was really nervous about doing this talk because it was strange because I'm not typically someone who gets too nervous. But this being JSConf, I thought, these people are the best at JavaScript, whatever that means. I thought, I'm going to be ridiculed because I like semicolons. And so I'm not, like I said, I'm not an audio expert. I'm not a JavaScript expert. If anyone says to me that they're an expert or anything, I kind of get a little bit sick in my mouth. I think it's a very arrogant thing to claim that you're an expert in anything, because I think we can always keep learning. Now, so I was concerned. I was like, why is this bothering me? Because I used to play in various bands when I was younger, and we were rubbish. But I still got up and just jumped around like an idiot and had a great time. I couldn't sing. It didn't stop me. So by just chance, I came across an old notebook that I used to write lyrics in, which was hilarious in itself. But it had this quote inscribed at the start. It's by David Byrne, and it says, the singer of the Talking Heads, and he said, "The better the singer's voice is, the harder it is to believe what they're saying." And this I think, is a great mantra for anyone who doesn't believe they're good enough at anything. Because what it means to me is that I'm going to take my weaknesses and turn them into strengths. That, okay, I might not be the greatest programmer in the world, but there's other things, other outside influences, other things that I'm good at that give the things I make character. I'm passionate about what I do. I believe that if you're passionate and enjoy what you're doing, it doesn't matter what the end product is. I didn't make all of these things because I thought I was going to change the world, which I'm obviously not, but I did it because I enjoyed it, and I love it, and I'm passionate about it. I give everything I've got to do it. I really, really enjoy it. And so that's why I believe that JavaScript is a new punk rock, because you can make anything from scratch, and it doesn't matter how good it is, just that you enjoyed it. So there's this video by the godfather of punk, Iggy Pop, that really, I think, echoes the way I feel about what I do and what I think we all do. And you know, he mentions men, but we hope he applies it to women as well. And I would just like to finish on that. Thanks a lot. Thank you. So you can follow me at these places. I'm on Tent, if anyone knows what that is. Questions? Yeah?
Yeah, do we have any questions? Don't be intimidated, come on.
There's one over there. Worst concert? I don't know, do you want to start a band with me? Think of a good name we're in. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask really quick, you're obviously not using set timeout there, are you?
No, so what's the Web Audio API it basically has its own time system. When you create a context, it has its own reference point that's in, it does use seconds, but it does give you kind of millisecond, or even more than that, control over the timing of things. So what happens is you schedule things up front. You say, I want all these things to happen at these points in the future. So it's, yeah, so no, I've actually made some things, there's some things on my website that usually set time out, like a drum machine when I was being stupid. And it's like, who makes a drum machine that set time out? Idiot.
Hi, Stuart. Great talk. How do you make the sawtooth and the square waves?
So yeah, so they're kind of native concepts to the Web Audio API. That's when we created an oscillator at the start there, that creates by default a sine wave. Now we can just change that type by giving it a different integer, and yeah, so they're kind of native to the API. Okay.
All right, great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.